Welcome to the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Darren Wendell.
What's up, you fish freaks? Welcome to episode number 65 of the KFO show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed, brought to you by the Wendell Fishing YouTube channel. Over 1,200 videos. I got daily shorts, daily community posts, this weekly podcast, actually bi-weekly podcast. I'm throttling it back a little bit during fishing season. It's a lot, but it's all good. And I at least throw out one weekly video. I got two coming out this upcoming week, so I'm excited about that. If you're not on YouTube, but you're like, hey, I love Facebook. We have a community page over there. It's been kind of kicking butt. I started a few months ago. It's called Kayak Fishing Freaks. And just in the last 28 days alone, we've had like 600 posts, 3,200 comments, 16,000 reactions, and 8,600 members. So people are highly engaged. So that's a lot of fun. Head over to Facebook, Kayak Fishing Freaks. Now, what I want to do is we are right in the middle of the first month of the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series. Pretty excited about that. Let me present my screen here, and we'll just take a look to see how everybody is doing over here on Fishing Chaos. All right, there we go. 34 anglers, already got a couple hundred fish posted for Team Wendell. Going to defend the title this year. And let's head on down here and see who's leading the way. John Long, 98.25. He's got 22.25, 20, 19, a couple of 18s. That's awesome. I'm coming in second here, 94.5 inches. I got to call up these 17s. But, John, yeah, I got a fishing trip at the end of the month, so I might be nipping at your toes here. And Josh Reynolds, this is a bummer, guys. There's a lesson to be learned here. Josh had a 24-inch bass that got DQ'd this morning, which is a big bummer because he had the identifier on top of the bass. And I understand why. The bass was so thick, right? It was covering up his identifier. So I would imagine he put that on top of the fish. Unfortunately, you cannot do that. And that's not a lesson you want to learn on the 24-inch largemouth. So he was a good sport about it. He's, hey, the rules are rules. But nonetheless, there's still a lot of month left, and I'm pretty excited about that. All right. Remember, this is an interactive show. Listening live in from wherever you're listening in live from, please ask questions to our guest tonight with over 27 million views. I didn't say that wrong. 27 million on YouTube alone. Debo, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. You're muted. What's going on?
Hey, there we go. Just keep on your toes. What's up, man? Thanks for the invite. Proud to be here.
Welcome back. It's good. How's fishing been for you recently?
Oh, it's been all right. Still haven't been able to get out as much as I would like to, but it's been fun. Hasn't been a horrible year. No giants yet, but it's been all right.
What's a giant in Iowa?
I wouldn't say like a giant, but if you can find a 5-pounder, like you're not finding those every day here.
Yeah. That's like Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still into like the pounds, right? And so soon the inches.
No.
Yes, you got a kayak. Oh yeah, just wait. Wait. Yep, it's coming.
Yeah, once people start talking inches, I'm like, yeah, I caught a really good fish. It was like, 5.5 pounds, a great day. They're like, oh, I caught a blank inch. Once they say inch, I'm like, yeah, never mind.
Well, this is interesting because the last time you were on the show, and I was trying to find this, I spent probably 20 minutes, still couldn't find it. In our last show that we had together, I had you on, you were talking about power fishing. But in that show, you shared with me that you would never get a kayak because you had your John boat and you loved your John boat. So here you are saying that you're never going to count fish by inches. And I'm just going to
Yeah,
have
who knows? I mean, hey, damn, you called me out, bro.
I have you on.
You straight up called me out. So it's been well. So I'm gonna try to defend my answer here.
Okay, sorry.
So the problem with it is storage and everything else with the John boat, because it's essentially like having a boat the size of mine. It's 11 and a half, basically 12-foot John boat with a trailer and everything. You have to have a place to store it, right? And garage doesn't work in the winter. Having to take the kids to school and stuff. I need to park in there. I'm not scraping every day and all that, and storing it. And there's neighborhood stuff. It's a whole long list of things, but essentially I'm going to build a lift like you did, and I can have everything in the garage done. So really it comes down to storage. Yep. If I had a 3-car garage, I wouldn't have a kayak right now.
Oh, that hurts a little bit.
Yeah,
just
a
little bit.
However, I will say being in it is a lot of fun and I do really enjoy it. So
we're going to get to that in a minute. We're not going to go in the deep dive, but we got a couple low life anglers like, hey, Debo's kayak video, it was good. So some initial good feedback. Losing Big Fish said, I'm a bad influence. He talked you into getting one. I know that you're texting me back and forth. You got a steal.
That's actually that was Chris who told me about the deal because I wasn't looking, and he sent me the listing for it, and it was like 2 hours away from me. So I'm like, dang, because I've been thinking about it. I'm like, dude, I've been getting the boat out. What do I do? So yeah, just kind of fell into my lap.
All right, we're going to talk about 3 things tonight, folks. 1, Debo's got a kayak, and I want everyone to be listening in and be like, okay, because I forget, because it was so long ago when I started getting to kayak fishing. I remember a few things, but I forget like the first time. I remember specifically like just how sore I was after the first couple times out, because you're using such weird angles and casting, and that is using muscles that I never really used for a long time. And yeah, so I'm interested in getting first impressions. 2, we're going to be talking about like the cutting edge fishing gear kind of for the modern angler. And how this came to mind is last time you're on the show, Debo, I looked in your backdrop, which if you're listening in from the podcast, I can't tell you how many reel boxes, fishing rods, more rods, lures, on-air signs that have fallen over. You fixed that, by the way.
I know. I had to tidy up a little bit. This is still all kayak stuff from basically 2 weeks ago when I was trying to get it out. So
all right.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
And at the end, we're gonna finish up with a fun little overrated, underrated, some fishing related, some unrelated. Just let's have some fun here. All right. So tell us the story. How did you go from I'm never going to get a fishing kayak, I love my John boat, there's nothing my John boat can't do except be stored in my garage, to a fishing kayak?
I mean, that was really it. It was really come down to storage and some neighborhood stuff that I'm not going to get into, but having to store a trailer when you don't have like a huge yard and a place where it can be out of the way and nobody can see it and all this stuff.
Did your HOA come after you?
We don't have an HOA, thank God, but similar stuff essentially. So
just neighborhood peer pressure?
Not peer pressure. Like, it's long story. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it really come down to
just keep pressing you until you tell the story.
No, I'm not getting into it. Storage and other things, we'll say.
All right, other things.
Yeah, but that's really it. I mean, I wasn't even looking, so it just kind of fell in my lap. It was like you said, it was a great deal. I asked 2 or 3 different people. You, the Burley guys, Gramps. I talked to somebody else too. I forget who, but everybody was like, "Yeah, that's a steal." So.
I actually told you that sounds a little too good to be true. That's how good of a deal you got.
Yeah, that's what I heard from a few different people. And after I've got it and looked at stuff, I'm like, yeah. I mean, the only thing that was missing was a leg for the sidekick. But after a couple back and forths with Native, I finally found one. The leg, though, Native, if you're listening out there or anybody that works for Native, just put on there that it doesn't include the wheel, that it's just the leg itself. Yeah. Because I got that, and then there's no wheel with it, so then I had to put in another order, and that got lost in the mail, and then finally I got it. So it was kind of a
so BS, good.
But yeah,
awesome. Well, tell us about what you got.
I have the Native Slayer Max Pro 12.5. So the pedal drive, and I freaking love it. And there's nothing that I would change so far. I'm not a stand-up yet. My strawberries aren't that big to stand up and set a frogfish hook yet, but so far everything else has been awesome on it. Yeah, I love it.
First impressions, just loading it. I mean, I have a 12.5-foot bona fide. So the weight, tracking, how have you taken it out? Like, is it on a lake type of thing, or you just kind of?
Yeah, I don't really fish many rivers, so that wasn't a concern to me. My biggest thing was stability, and having a pedal drive. Those were my two must-haves when I had looked, and I'd been looking at getting like the Titan. Like if I was going to get one, that was it. But I was like, I don't really have that money, and I don't really know, just kind of back and forth. But like I said, yeah, that one kind of fell in my lap, and there it is. So
nice. How much do those run retail?
I want to say now those are 3,000 for the new model. Mine's a 21, so it's not, brand new. But I mean, the wear and stuff wasn't too bad. I had some good upgrades. I got the Burley, the aluminum handle deal, the Burley.
Oh, nice. I don't even have that.
Thing. Yeah.
You got a nice upgrade. Those things are $100+.
Yeah. The Guardian Angel lights. So it's got, quite a few good.
The nice lights.
Good deals on it. Yeah. Yeah. So
I just heard about Guardian Angel for the first time when I had Kayak Fishing Magazine on, because he was highlighting it in there. I was like, hey, you know what? I need to reach out to this company. And I did. And well, I'll be completely honest with you, they never responded, which kind of a big bummer, but oh well.
Yeah, kind of the only bad thing. Apparently they sell some that have like a remote. Mine doesn't have that. You'd have to I would just pull over and turn them off, but that's not a huge deal to me since it's free. So
yeah,
we're included in it.
So first impressions. So you have the native sidekick. So my favorite, I don't like kayak carts. The sidekicks are freaking awesome, just because I never have to run stuff or disassemble a cart and put it in my hatch and take off. It's just I get in the water, turn around, flip them up, and I'm off the races. Pedal drive. How's that working for you?
Love it.
You're telling me that you worked on yours. Like you did a complete overhaul.
Yeah, I did. I've been deep diving into your videos. A lot of people, respect you and have, recommended your stuff. I can't remember who it was, but somebody had already recommended it after I had done it and was like, if you know this guy, Wendell, check out his YouTube. He does a lot of kayak stuff and a lot of beginner stuff. And just, you've got a whole plethora of kayak stuff, which is awesome. So I watched the whole tear down, the lube and everything of the propel drive, because the only bad thing was I was like, have you lubed this and stuff after having it for like a year and a half? He's like, no, I've never taken it apart or anything like that. So I'm like, oh dude, I'm going to get into it. And it's going to be, and it wasn't, it was just dirty, but everything was, no chipped teeth or bent teeth or anything that I could see, no rust. It was just a little dirty in there, from old grease. So I was like, cleaned it all out. And yeah, it's 1,000 times smoother. However, the second time I took it out, so the first time I took it out, I didn't have the sidekicks, and that was a huge pain in the arse. I'm like, whoever does this with a kayak without those, this is awful. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sissy, but once I got the sidekick on, 1,000 times better. However, the first time with the sidekicks out, I forgot to flip them up, and I'm like, dude, I can't believe how hard this is. Like, I re-greased it, everything's done. I'm like, I figured it would have felt a lot better, but it feels worse. Did I mess it up? And then I found out I forgot to flip those up, and then flip those
dragging two anchors behind you. I've done that a couple times. That is just a straight up noob mistake. We've all been there. It's like, what? I'm gonna make them and I'm gonna share it. So, so what are your upgrades you got on that? You mentioned a few things. It came with the steering handle, propel drive, Guardian lights.
Yep, yeah. So that Burley steering. Those, I just put an anchor wizard on, which is a huge game changer. That thing is amazing. The first couple times I took it out, I didn't have an anchor or anything, and positioning is just, man, it's rough. And that was one thing I really missed over the John boat is I had an anchor set up on a rope with like an automatic catch, so I could just pop it. It would drop my anchor, then I could just hand wheel it up. So I was like, man, this is rough trying to position and fish. But yeah, after I got that, that's a night and day difference. Otherwise, nothing huge. I got my kayak crate, which was a Gander going out of business deal for $1.99 with the crate and four tubes. I bought it. $1.99? Yeah, $1.99.
All of them?
No, they only had one left.
Okay.
So I bought it, and I just had extra like planos and stuff stored over here. And I'm like, if I ever have a kayak, maybe I'll use it. But the day came, and I'm like, I'm glad I had it. So I got my little milk crate back there. I don't know. Did I get any other upgrades? I bought if anybody needs a native Slayer Max Burley keel guard, you can have mine because it doesn't fit the 2021s. I didn't know that until afterwards. apparently they changed that front angle and stuff. So if you need one, I'm not going to return it. I tried gluing it on and it came off, and I'm like, yeah, this didn't work at all. So
I got the video for you.
So that's my buddy Steven's like, hey, actually, that's who it was. We were talking about this. It fell off on the thing, pulling it out, and he's like, is that your keel guard? I'm like, oh, I knew it didn't fit. I tried to make it. It didn't. But he's like, yeah, if you know this guy, Wendell, he's got a really good video on doing a carbon fiber or whatever. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know the guy.
Yeah, there
I'll
you
have
go.
to look that up. So
I did 2 versions, by the way. The first one is tape. It worked. I still have it on 2 years later. The second version is actually cheaper, and I used goop as the adhesion.
The Kydex?
Yeah, they're both Kydex.
Oh, okay.
It's adhesion. I tried something different the second time.
Okay.
And it's easier to use the marine grade goop. On the goop, it'll tell you not for use with polypropylene, which is what your kayak's made out of. However, not polypropylene. I forget the word I'm looking for. Polyethylene. That's what I'm looking for. And it's not that it's like going to melt the plastic. It's just they don't recommend it because of the bond. It's I forget what they called. It's like a surface bond, not a
chemical bond.
Yeah, not a chemical bond. But I haven't had any issues, and I beat the crap out of my keel guard. But nonetheless, if you're looking for a keel guard out there, that might be where you're going. Anything you're like, you get in your kayak, you're like, okay, it doesn't have this, and it needs to be an upgrade for me.
No, I mean, when I was looking at the Titan, the swivel seat, I think would be nice, but I mean, I definitely don't need it. And that's just that would kind of be cool.
Oh yeah.
No, I honestly can't think of anything. I have I don't know if I just kind of got dumb lucky into it, but I love it. It's got the 2 little 3600s here for hooks and stuff that are it's built into it.
Oh yeah.
So those are cool. I mean, the pedals fit me fine. Yeah, really, it was adding that anchor wizard was the big thing.
That's it.
I got it out. Yeah, so
it's interesting. I've never ran an anchor ever.
Really?
I get to the point. You'll get to the point where you stop thinking about the adjustments on your rudder and backpedaling and forward pedaling, and it just becomes second nature to your fishing. And I just kind of got used to constantly repositioning myself, and it really not being an issue. But I'm always on the move. So I don't know. Interesting. Right on. You gonna put a motor in that bad boy?
Down the line, yeah, maybe next year. Not this year. This year's really just kind of getting used to it and trying to run it as much as I can. I did stand up and fish a little bit the other day. It wasn't as bad as I thought. So, but my balance is pretty awful. My knees are not great. So that does scare me a little bit that I'm going to topple, but no, otherwise it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun and good exercise, which I need because I've gotten a little husky working from home. So,
oh, you work from home now?
Work from home, yeah. Ever since COVID and all that went down, work from home 24/7. So it's great and it's not great at the same time because you're always here. So
what is it that you do again? I think you shared it last time.
I work in insurance.
Okay,
manager. So yeah,
nice,
real exciting stuff. Super exciting.
Yeah, well, we welcome you with open arms to the kayak fishing family. Here's a question from Michael Bradley when we're talking about propel drives. He was asking any opinions on the guys who use gear oil instead of grease. So I've never done it. I've looked into it. I've researched it. And essentially, you're going to avoid your warranty when you do this. So make sure you're outside of warranty if you decide to try this on your propel drive. But I've heard nothing but great things about it. I haven't personally done it myself, but it makes sense logically to me. And so, I don't know. Just interesting. So, because grease, once you get, you spin all the shoots out to the side anyways, and you just have that thin film. And so I get the idea of gear oil. So fascinating. Elizabeth, who's been putting up some straight up donkeys on the board. I mean, stupid. She has 107 inches between 5 bass on Team's Gramps, between 5 fish. That is insane.
Helps live in Florida.
Yeah, she is killing it. She's down them in down there in some canal or something. I'm following it. But she said, I accidentally caught my XI3 remote between my body and the chair the other day. I was spinning in circles. I love it. She also says, I love my swivel seat. I like that. Topwater West. This is not for me. I only managed to pike this morning from the bank. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a buddy about kayak fishing this past week because I lost what may have been my personal best bass. I was fishing a dam, had a Nico rig set up, and I only had 8-pound fluoro on, which I can usually handle a bass. So caught this thing, and he's probably 30 yards out. He jumps, and I about crap my pants. I was like, oh, it's that moment. You're like, that's it. And so I had this open water in front of me, and for whatever reason, this bass just comes at me like 100 miles an hour, and I cannot pick up a line fast enough. And before I know it, he's shooting under my boat. And before I can flip my bail, because I'm using a spinning setup, he goes under my boat. The rod loads over. It's not giving anymore. And it was ping, just snapped my line. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding. You could have ran in 350 degrees somewhere else, and I would have landed that thing. So that was painful. It's hard to recover from that. I didn't realize. I don't remember last time I lost like a big bass like that. I lose smaller fish, but I mean, one that you know is pushing your PB. And I literally had to get out of my kayak, walk up to my truck, and kind of recenter myself and get back in my kayak and kind of restart the day in order to not let that affect me the way that it was affecting me. So that was wild. Sly Fox went to a private pond the other evening, had 100 or more 1-pound bass in 2.5 hours. And my Berkeley spinnerbait snapped in half.
That's still fun. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, it is. Bart Foster, I had 3 good fish come off yesterday too, but I don't think they were over 22. Yeah, it's crazy. I did pick up a 20.75 this morning, and that was
nice.
They're in the middle right now. It's like they just got done spawning, and some are guarding fry. And so they're in this recuperating 2 weeks where it's really hard to get a bite.
Tough time. Yep.
Yeah. Here in Ohio, it's like I got 3 fish this morning. Typically, like 3 weeks ago, I would have got maybe 10, 15 a morning. And here in a couple of weeks, I'll probably get 30 in a morning. But right now, they are just 3. That's it. So it's interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's start talking about some of the fishing gear out there. I would assume with all the gear that you have behind you, and with all, I'm sure a lot of companies send you stuff. I'm assuming you don't buy all that.
Yeah, not much anymore. In the past, yeah, definitely. But I've actually,
really?
I dropped some sponsors for this year, and it was just I'd been too busy. So this year's, I'm kind of just doing my own thing. Yeah, really not doing much. I mean, Tackle Warehouse, I've worked with them the past few years. They don't send me anything, which sucks. I wish they did, but
come on, Tackle Warehouse.
I know, slouch.
You'll do the videos to send them some things.
Yeah, they don't. They're stingy, I guess. Yeah, otherwise, no, not really much as of late. Really just kind of been testing my own stuff. I can tell you my favorite, and maybe this is a question, so I might be spoiling it. But so far, my favorite reel of the year, because I'm pretty sure the Tatula 100 came out last year, right?
Okay.
The new version.
Okay.
I think so. Technically, for this year, is the SLX MGL 70, the new one with the MGL spool.
Oh, I saw you did a video on that, didn't you?
Talking about the old one, it was kind of an SLX breakdown of all of them.
Yes.
And I think the MGL is kind of the hidden gem in that lineup.
What's
but yeah,
MGL
the new one's
stand
awesome.
for? Do you know?
Magnum Light, I believe, which is the spool, MGL's Magnum Light spool. So it's supposed to be a lighter. Essentially, once you get into casting lighter baits, the lighter the spool is supposed to have a direct relationship with easier, less inertia to get that spool going because it's lighter, right?
Okay.
And making it able to cast lighter lures. I don't know if that always holds true. There's people that do testing and stuff with that. I don't get that nerdy into it and weighing spools and stuff. But essentially, yeah, so it's made to toss lighter lures, not necessarily just that, but with like a spinnerbait or chatterbait or anything, you can just barely flick it out and it's like sending it super easy. So even if you're not into the super small stuff, ease of casting, I will say you can definitely tell.
Are you getting down to like BFF stuff? Is that what we're talking about here?
No,
Okay,
man. That's
not there yet.
No, yeah, I've got one combo. I just got another St. Croix rod to try because I'm going to be meeting up with the Burley guys this weekend to fish, and they are huge into the BFS.
Yeah, they are. They're like insane.
Yeah, I am not. I've tried it a couple times, and I don't really get it. Like I would just use a finesse spinning reel.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Finesse spinning
Yeah.
reel, 7 foot, medium power. fast action rod. Why would I want to go over to bait finesse system?
The only thing I can think of is like if you want to throw, like if you really just like I personally like casting gear better. It's more comfortable for me to fish all day.
Sure.
Like if you want to throw like shaky heads or Ned rigs, like you really like that stuff, but you just hate spinning. I think it makes sense. Or like with some of the lighter crankbaits, some of the smaller like balsas or the lighter crankbaits, I think it could really help and be fun. But other than that, yeah, I'm kind of baffled on how it's taken over so much in the popularity that it's been receiving. I don't know, just kind of strange to me, but it's kind of like the end of both spectrums. Like swim bait stuff the past few years has really blown up, and then more recently BFS. So it's like people are in this like weird cult of swim bait universe, throwing these mine's bigger than yours thing versus hey, I can throw a tinier lure than you, 1/57th of a it's really weird, but it's kind of these two ends of the spectrum.
So good. I've never actually thrown a BFS rod reel setup. If you have, in the comments, let me know what is the difference in like your just opinion, right? What's the noticeable difference for you if you throw those? And at the end of the day, there might just not be a lot of people throwing it. This might be getting a lot of fanfare on the old. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Bart Foster, I catch most of my fish on spinning rods. There you go. And so we'll see. We'll wait and see if we get any more comments on here. All right. So that's your reel. So this light on it's magnesium, right?
Nope. It's just an aluminum frame. All the SLXs are 150 size frame. So all the from just the regular up through, unless you're talking about the DC, I think that one has to be a little bit different if I remember correctly. It might be the same. I don't remember, to accommodate for the DC braking, but they're all 150 size. It just really comes down to spool on those and brakes, different brakes as you go up.
Okay. Right on. All right. So we got any other notable honorable mention? What is the latest and greatest technology coming out for reels right now that we should verse ourselves on? Because there's a lot of acronyms and things being thrown around in the fishing world. And half the time I'm like, what is that? That's why I asked you, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that really mean?
Yeah, it's tough because a lot of it is, I mean, you nailed it. A lot of it's marketing jargon.
Yeah. They try to confuse you. Is that their goal?
I think it's just, it's to sell a product, right? How do you, it's the age old, sell me this pin, right? You go to get a sales job and they hand you a pin and they say, sell me this pin. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, well, this pin's great. It writes and versus, well, the spectacular cellulose level of the circumference on they use big words and crazy stuff and it makes it sound good, right? So I don't know, in the fishing world it's weird because people are so brand loyal that I think it's even harder than some things. Some like food and stuff, a lot of times you have your favorites, but it's like, oh, it's the same thing, I'll buy it. Or I guess it really depends on the person, but fishing gear, people are like brand elitists. How many times you hear the guy say, oh, I'm a Shimano guy, that's all I throw, I'm a Shimano, or I've thrown this lure for years, I would never switch. So I don't know if that's why they have to work so hard in it, right? Because you get a guy stuck in his ways and he's only using Shimano forever. But I don't know, as far as like stuff coming up, gear, again, BFS, I mean, we're seeing a whole bunch of the BFS. Daiwa just released a couple. Yeah, for some weird reason that just continues to grow. Baffles me.
There's literally nobody in the comments right now. We have 60 people live on. No one's talking about, hey, I've tried this. So I have a couple of people are like, what is it again? What does BFS stand for?
Yeah. It's
finesse system. Interesting. Yeah, 100%. Quarter ounce and below, definitely just use a spinning reel. That's what I do. I don't know. There might be a day I try it out. I probably will. But right now, I'm not following the cult. Somebody else wrote something. What did they say? They said, oh, I don't see it. There's so many comments flying down here. It's hard to have a conversation sometimes and follow all the comments.
Oh, I get it.
Nonetheless, I just picked up a Lose Hyper Mag. I know it's old. It's been out.
I saw that. Yeah. You like it?
I've never invested heavily into a reel. I end up getting, it was Mock Madness did a free tournament in March And I just like, okay, why not sign up since I'm fishing all the other tournaments on Fishing Chaos? It literally uploads my fish to all the tournaments at once. So why not sign up for another? And the second or third through 10th place prize was the same prize. And I got 9th in the northern region for the Mock Madness.
Wow.
Yep. And I had a crazy March and April. I put up 100 inches and up in Ohio. It's like putting up 100 inches in Iowa. It just doesn't happen very often. And
well, does if you're good. Yeah, I didn't mean me. I'm not very good, but yeah, there's good people that do it all the time, I'm sure. So yeah.
And so the prize was $100 gift certificate to Lose and $100 gift certificate to Mock, which really is just a $200 gift certificate because Mock and Lose is the same exact website, just different tabs, toggle back and forth. And I was like, you know what? I've been using the same freaking cheap Walmart combo, the Xfinity, for a long time, and those things have been slowly falling apart. The bearings on the bales, I can see them because they're spreading apart. He's like, I use this a lot. I just need to get myself a nicer reel. And so I got this thing. I was like, is it really going to be that noticeable of a difference? It's that noticeable of a difference. Now, don't get me wrong. It costs $200 for the reel, but I'm telling you how it's just smoother all the way around. It's magnesium, which is supposed to, I believe, it's supposed to help with vibration, which is nice. I mean, it's all this like nuanced stuff. You're really, once you get past a certain price point, it's almost like diminishing returns. But I like having a reel that I know is quality built and is going to perform for me the same way and not deteriorate over time. And so right now, I am a huge fan of the Lose Hypermag. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. But I only really fish one spinning reel. So I just want it to be a nice spinning reel.
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's move over to rod. Oh, I'm curious. You talked about brand loyalty, and someone made a mention a moment ago. It's almost cultish.
Yeah. It really is.
And so do you have any brand loyalty yourself?
I don't. I'm kind of a closet Daiwa nerd. Like, I think Daiwa makes the best brakes, like as far as braking system. So I tend to lean toward Daiwa, but no, I still use everything. I like testing stuff, and yeah.
Let's switch over to rods. Really, not a whole lot has changed when it comes to rods. Yes, no? Would you agree with that?
Depends how far we're talking. Yes, definitely. If we're talking like, let's say early 90s, I remember when I was really
going way back.
Yeah, I know, old, right? Back when you looked at rods at that time, you definitely saw a much shorter rod. Yep. So, 6.6, 6.8, that was kind of like a long rod. It wasn't common to find 7, 7.5, 7.11, that we see now. And glass was so much more popular then. And, you're talking like a pool cue, like, this big around of a rod that feels, crazy. So I think we have seen, which is cool, is to see not only the links and different techniques, kind of change.
Yeah.
Because for people, I don't think there's anything wrong with finding, a length and action that you really like and finding a brand that fits you. Because a lot of people say, oh, you just need a 7-foot medium heavy, right? But if you really find something that you're dialed in with and feels good in hand, I think that makes a big difference. Price out the window, right? If I put this in my hand and it molds in perfectly, I don't care if it's $150 or a $5,000 rod. It has to be comfortable to fish it. If it's not comfortable, I don't give a damn what the price is. You're not going to gravitate toward that. So, mixing materials, seeing composites, different ways of putting the blanks together to achieve different actions and strength. You look at some of them that might have like a super tough tip, right? Because we saw that trend of lighter, smaller, tinier, and then you get to a point where it's just fragile, right? You get some of these materials where it just doesn't hold up. So mixing those, and I guess kind of tinkering with that is, I guess, the biggest change that I've seen. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting because people don't really realize this, but the more you pay a lot of times for a rod, you're paying for a more sensitive rod. In order to make a more sensitive rod, just like you said, it's actually you're making a more fragile rod. which is very interesting, right? To get down on the weight, to get that sensitivity, you just get thinner and thinner rods. You get all the sensitivity and you get all those things and you're paying for it. However, you don't realize you really got to take care of that thing, because if you're not putting in rod sleeves and you let that thing banging up against other rods, it's going to compromise it. And one of these days you're going to set the hook and it's going to snap. You might set the hook on a freaking 1 pound bass and it snaps. So just keep in mind, if you have a really expensive rod, baby that girl. All right. We got a comment over here. Let me see. Cooler Let AP. I almost started a fist fight at a boat ramp over St. Croix's better than Shimano rods. Oh, I love it. People get jacked up. It's fun. I'm reading over here in the comments. There's so many comments. All right. So you have any particular, what are you throwing? So you're going out fishing today, bank fishing, or now you have 4 rod holders on your kayak. If you get to take 4 rods with you right now, what do you got hooked up?
Suspending jerkbait. There's going to be a couple videos coming up of that. That's always like a springtime favorite. I don't consider myself like an amazing jerkbait fisherman, but it's one of those lures that seems like you can always get bites on around here if the water's clean. Now that it's starting to warm up, frog. I finally got on some frog fish. We finally got some vegetation starting. So far and away, my favorite, if I could only catch fish on one lure forever, would be the frog. I think you've been throwing it. The wacky rig is going to be a good one, or just like a Texas rig stick bait.
Oh yeah.
And then probably like a Ned rig or a finesse jig, something small to cover the bottom.
Yeah,
that would be my 4.
Oh man, I'm getting jacked up. I got a video coming out, and the top, I think not top. I don't say the top. I think it's 6 lures that are slave for you in June. And I have some of them on right now, a little early. And what I caught the 20.75 on this morning was a black and blue Yamatanuki. Rolly pin. Oh man, I didn't have a lot of bites this morning, but when that thing thumped that, felt good. And I was fishing it with a 7.9 rod, and so handled it like a boss and 20-pound fluoro. But man, that was such a fun bite. And so it starts picking the Yamatanuki post spawn. Bass lose their ever loving mind over that. I think I caught over 200 bass last year on that lure alone.
You're the reason I tried it. Yeah, I tried it late last year, and it really surprised me because I'd thrown it a couple times and it just was kind of flipping it into cover and stuff. And I was like, I don't really love it. Well, then there was a Tackle Warehouse had a video of Cody Meyer talking about the dudes that invented it over in Japan and talking about fishing it. And I didn't realize it was more like a finesse jig, like hopping very slow on the bottom, that type of stuff. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of interesting, especially as a bank angler. I was rigging it with a screw lock hook, like an owner's screw lock. Yeah. Weightless, because I don't think people realize it's like 5/8 or 7/8, something like it's a heavy piece of plastic. Yeah. And fishing it that way, and I really liked it. So I think there's definitely can be a place in that in the arsenal. I think it's just easy to forget about, honestly, because it's like one of those weird oddballs that it's like, this thing looks stupid. It falls in the whole poop bait category, which I think a lot of that's just marketing. But yeah, it's interesting. I liked it.
I'm a big fan of that one. I'm a huge fan also of the Depths Cover Scat, where I first started kind of my poop baits, and they both have just killed it. So how typically I'll rig it up 5/0 hook and on the 3.5 inch, because they make them in 2.5 as well. I like the 3.5 because at the end of the day, the 3.5s will rip at the top, and if you bite it off, you have yourself a 2.5, and then you can put a 2/0 or 3/0 hook in it. So you essentially will get a 2.5 because those will rip after a couple bass. And what I'll do is I'll let they have a unique fall to it. They kind of fall down like this, and the bowling pin tail, once that thing hits the bottom, I usually go pop, pop. And especially in June, this is why I love fishing in the June, because after all these bass get out of their nest, all the bluegill comes in and they take over the nest to do their spawn. And so it looks like a baby bluegill. And so I've had a lot of hits. If they don't hit it after the first couple pops, I'll do I'll just burn it. Burn, pause. Burn, pause. And a lot of times on that burn and pause coming off the bottom, they'll chase it. When I stop it, they just basically run into it and open their mouths. And that's how I got the 20.75 this morning, is after I dropped it probably in 8 feet of water next to the lily pads, I burned it back to me. And after the first burn pause, he nailed it. Nailed it.
Interesting.
It was a good one. So, but yeah, hitting them on the wacky. Been hitting them on the wacky all the way from the temperatures of like 40 degrees. Just
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
stupid. I got I got a 5 and a 6 pound on the wacky worm in the 40s.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Most people were not even thinking soft plastics in the 40s.
I wasn't.
No. And so it's kind of been my sleeper lure early on, which has been a lot of fun. I'm not going to give away all the lures because that video is coming out on June 1. But yeah, it's been really good. All right, let's switch over. Do you have any favorite lines? I was recently listening to Tackle Talk, and he did this like line breakdown. It was just fascinating. And he basically was putting like the bracket series, and he was putting lines up against other lines and kind of bringing them down. I was like, oh wow, never really thought of it in that way. So if you haven't, head over to Andrew Hayes Tackle Talk, find the one with the bracket with the fishing lines, and just listen to it when you're going to work or something. It is fascinating. But do you have any like go-tos?
Dude, there's so many good ones. The P-line Tactical is what I fell in love with quite some time ago.
Yeah,
I would say like I wouldn't say the gold standard. The benchmark is Seaguar and Vizex, right? I think when people finally
that's what I use.
Get into fluorocarbon, I think Seaguar and Vizex is kind of like that mid. I wouldn't even say mid. It's like it's kind of what everything else is measured against, I feel like. But the P-line Tactical for me has been my favorite. Some of the Sunlines, the Sniper, and I've actually had good luck with the one under it. I don't remember what it is. It's in the blue box.
Okay.
They're great. The thing you kind of have to watch out for with fluorocarbon is make sure it's like a good 100% fluorocarbon, because a lot of people get mistaken by like Berkeley Vanish or I can't remember. There's a number of them out there that are mixes, right? So if like you really want to try a good fluorocarbon, just spend a little extra money. Like the Seaguar Basics sucked. Or was it Basics? Is that what it is?
Yeah, the brown tan box. Yeah.
Maybe that's not the Basics. It was the one they released that took place of the red box. What is that? Red Line or whatever the red one was. I'm mental block here. But anyway, I didn't have good luck with it, and I heard some pretty bad feedbacks from some other people, which is interesting coming from Seaguar. Maybe they fixed that with the new one. Yeah, like Invizex, the Tactical, Sunline Sniper. I mean, just get a good one. As far as mono, I'm still 100% on Trilene in the red box, Trilene XL in the red box, cheap. I never have issues with it. I always get the crystal clear blue. So that way, when I just look at my rod, I know which one's mono.
making it really easy.
Yeah.
I like it. Interesting enough, I'm either using one of two lines. I use 100% fluoro. I don't tie it to any leader. I just go straight fluoro. And every single one of my rods has Seaguar and Vizex on it. I might start goofing around with the Sniper, which I heard is a close contender, if not better. So I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's Sunline, right? Sunline Sniper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I look for it. My buddy was telling me that there was a sick deal somewhere. I need to go find that again. Well, everyone's having a conversation over here. I love it, but I know a lot of people have their own opinions about using straight fluoro and leaders and blah blah blah. But that's just how I do it. And so it's good. It's good. All right, what else we got here? What's the latest and greatest? Oh, let me see. What's some gear that typically isn't like straight on the rod and reel that you're like, hey, this is something I always have with me, but doesn't get a lot of fanfare because it's not a lure, it's not a line, it's not a reel, and it's not a rod.
I would say pliers. I had to look around to get a good pair of pliers because I like to get the ones that have the side cutter. So not like not the old school like wire cutters here.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Not those. I like the ones that have the little like carbide tip or whatever it is on the side of your pliers because it cuts braid. It cuts everything. I had an old pair of Piscifin ones that I got from Amazon. I don't know how long ago. And then I went on Amazon. I was like setting up my kayak because I got some of the tethers with like the Velcro deal, for my pliers and stuff. And I was looking for some, and I was surprised to see that there wasn't like a lot of those available. So I forget what the brand was, some off-name brand, but it was great. And it has the split ring tooth on the end of it. So I've got my split ring pliers, my
Yep.
regular pliers, and my braid cutter, everything all in one. So, if you're a bank guy and you just want to throw one in your backpack, not have to worry about scissors or having a separate pair of split ring pliers, like one that does it all and cuts everything really well. So
Interesting. I have the Booms aluminum, but they have that janky cutter, which will work for the first couple times, and it's great for your mono or your fluoro, but for braid, no dice. I actually carry a separate pair of scissors, titanium scissors, to cut my braid.
Yep.
And so, but it'd be nice to actually have it all in one. So I probably need to upgrade that as well. We got a bunch of comments over here. It's P-Line Tactical. I think that's Greg. I think you're right there.
P-Line Tactical.
My bad.
Yep.
I was saying, what was I saying? Sunline? I was saying something.
No, you said the sniper. Yeah, Sunline Sniper.
Okay,
yep.
There we go. Steve Elmer says, don't sleep on scissors. Right on. Fred Delgado, fishing nets for kayak. Are you going to be running a fishing net on your kayak, Debo?
Yeah, I already got one. I already got it set up. I watched, I don't remember the guy's name, but he popped up for a couple things. Couldn't tell you that his name. Blonde dude, I don't know, that doesn't help a damn bit, but he has like kayak mods and stuff, but did the mod for the net holder thing that screws into your pedal drive. Yeah, because there's like it takes a certain bolt. And he had that in his description, so I got that. So I've got the little, whatever it is, the two little round wheel thing. And put
paddle holder
in there. Yep, yeah, there you go.
That's a quarter 20 thread that you're putting that in right there. It's really nice. You can use it for a paddle holder. You can use it for some guys, and I used to do this for a long time. You can put the quarter 20 ball and run a Yak Attack, and you put a RAM phone mount there. So you can just have your phone in front of you the whole time if you wanted to. There's all kinds of things you can do there. It took me forever, a long, long time ago, to figure out what is the freaking threading on the top of the propel drive. And I finally just made a video about it. And I think there's probably a bunch of them since then. But yeah. So what kind of net do you got?
So I got a paddle and the net at my local fish shop. Fin and Feather is what we have here. I don't know. I can tell you it's a 30-inch aluminum handled, the nice, whatever the plasti dipped net thing. It's not going to float, but it's 30 inches. Yeah. So it doesn't get those caught, but people are like, it's not going to float. It's too long. I'm like, I think there's a bunch of sissies that kayak fish, because I posted like my gear and stuff, and I will tell you that I can fit way more gear in my kayak than I thought I could. Yeah. I don't even have it all full. Like, I did a video on it, and I got so many comments of people like, you have way too much. You have way too much. And I'm like, dude, I want to put more in here. Like, I don't even feel like I have a ton. It's one milk crate. It all fits in one milk crate, and I take it out. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like there's some sissies in the kayak area.
I get that a lot, actually. You got some. I think what you get is minimalists who will come over and say, you don't need anything but, and they're right, you technically don't need anything but I'm not out there for a leisurely recreational kayak ride. I'm out there to freaking fish, right? And I want to have available to me what I need in the moment to catch and land some big fish.
Right.
And if you just have one rod, that might be good for you, but I know it's not good for me, because I'm telling you, I rotate through all 6 of mine. Maybe over a period of 100 yards, right? Because I might come across open water. I might see a bass hit the surface. I might see some lily pads. I might look down at my side scan and see a brush pile. All 4 of those, all 4 of those scenarios, I have 4 different rods and 4 different lures that are specific to those rods that I'll be using in those moments. And so it's interesting, but hey, to each his own. I'm not going to tell that person they're wrong if they love one rod and that's what they get, have a good time with. 100, go for it, man.
I just think it's funny. I didn't hear any of this in my kayak talk, or I'm sorry, my John boat stuff. There was never any of that in my John boat, and my John boat was a complete pit. I would have probably 9 rods next to me, because I would sit them on the seat next to me and just lay them, up. So I'd have like 9 rods just kind of all kerfuffled up in there, and I would have my big bank bag. I'd had like a little plastic bag of stuff, and sometimes I had like another little tote of lures. Way too much in the John boat, and like anybody ever commented on that. It's like, oh well, once you get into kayak stuff, I don't know, maybe I'm not in the kayak cult yet. I'll get it figured out, but
you'll figure it out. You'll know, because you'll start talking about your fish in inches, not pounds. Just wait.
Oh no,
it's coming.
I didn't say I was gonna.
No, you're gonna. It's coming. It
I'm
might
not a
not be a
tournament guy.
year. It might not be 2 years, but the second I hear you say it on one of your podcasts or something, I'll be calling you.
Unless I'm forced in some charity to do it and measure them, I will begrudgingly do it. But yeah, like tournament fishing just doesn't really interest me. I don't know.
No?
No.
I thought maybe I would hate it. And then Chad Hoover called me last year. He's like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing, Knucklehead. Want to get you. Love to have you be a part of it." He was like, "Yeah." I was on the edge. I was like, should I do this? Because I love just going out and fishing for the fun of it.
Mhm.
And I thought maybe it would ruin it because then I would be like, oh man, I have to go out because I have to go get a few more inches on the board because I have to. And then you lose the fun. But actually, that's not what happened for me. I actually found the tournaments to be a lot of fun. I like that they're month-long tournaments, and it's right for me in the way that I like to fish. But yeah, I had that same fear, and for the longest time, didn't really want to get into the tournament scene. So it's interesting. So I saw you did a video recently, the best finesse lure nobody is talking about, the Crush City Mayor. What's that all about? Because Crush City is relatively a new soft plastic line coming to the game from Rapala, correct?
Yeah, so I've actually been really surprised, and it was really kind of the top spin mixed with that. So the top spin is a lure from first gen. Essentially, it's a reverse underspin or like a really finesse spinnerbait. And I still feel like it doesn't get a ton of play. And it's been one that's been really good for me the past few years, especially if you're a bank guy or gal.
Yeah.
Just think a less weedless underspin or finesse spinnerbait, I guess, like I just said. But I feel like that doesn't get talked about a ton, and underspins kill for me, but I'm always picking junk off of them, ticking over the tops of grass and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's been a good one. And pairing it up with the Crush City, those little Mayor swim baits, I think they knock those out of the park. It's got that shad profile. It's not the long, I don't have any here, but the long skinny, like you see out of a lot of the Kitex and some of the other ones. It's got that belly on it. It matches the small shad around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. So,
all right. How about the line in general that Crush City put out?
Man, I think that's the whole reason. I didn't know. I started looking into it more after we talked about it on one of our lives. But I forget who it is. I forget who it is that there was somebody else I think involved in the whole thing. But anyway, Rapala bought 13. Now owns them. So you see a whole lot of the baits and stuff going on clearance on 13. I'm like, what's happening here? It's like it makes sense after they just launched their whole Rapala.
Getting rid of the old branding.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to get rid of everything or how that's going to stick, if they're just going to stay with rods and reels for 13 or what. But, they put a huge push into it. And so far I've been really happy. I mean, I have no ties or anything to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the little Mayor, and I've been testing the BLT, which is their little Ned rig, which I honestly have.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. It's like ribbed, isn't it?
Kinda, yeah. And it's got like a hard spot where the hook goes, or like a solid spot, which is cool.
Okay.
But it's out of the same like Elastec stuff, that same material.
Okay. So you got to weight it down, of course, while you got it on the net.
Yeah. So I think those are really neat. I've tried the freeloader, which is like the mid-strolling minnow deal, but I've been using it as a chatterbait trailer, and it works really, really cool. Because I'm not a mid-stroll forward-facing sonar. I don't know what the hell any of that stuff does. I don't know how to use it, but people like it for that. But yeah, so far I've really liked them. I think those are the three. Oh, and the craw that I was really, really surprised with is the cleanup craw, which it looks like just really any other craw, a small kind of craw profile. Man, it looks stellar in the water and is an awesome chatterbait trailer too. Okay. So I think the only one I haven't used is the Bronco Bug. And I know that took a lot of heat because it's like a copy of an OSP lure, or I don't know, some JDM lure or something, but I haven't thrown that one. So I don't know.
Interesting. I had the bait man on 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about Japan domestic product lures. And I was like, oh man, this is like just learning me on just a lot of stuff that I'm not familiar with.
Your wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. And he just, one of my buddies put me onto him. And man, the guy, I asked him how many lures he owns. Want to guess what he said?
I have no clue.
I think he said, if I remember correctly, he said 20 to 30,000.
Well, to be fair, he used to own and manage.
He used to manage a tackle shop.
So, yeah.
But yeah, it's That was a good. If you haven't listened to that one, the Baitman TV, just recently, head back a couple episodes back, if not the last episode back, and check that out. We have like 70 people on right now, which is fun. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the like button. Get this YouTube a little extra juice. The algorithm likes that type of thing. All right, we're coming down the end of our time, Debo. Can you believe we're almost burned an hour just now?
Dude, it's always fun talking fishing. I never don't look forward to hopping on lives.
Love it. I probably have, really quick, because I had Clay Kayak Fishing on. Man, this is probably a month or two ago. And they were talking about these trapper hooks, which I've seen before. If you guys have never seen a trapper hook, they have a weird design in a shank that basically creates like a well. And so the idea is once you set the hook on a bass and it's past the barb, it has a harder time throwing it because it's sitting and it's locked down in that kind of pit that they've created there on the bend, which I thought was fascinating. And they're like, right now, and the deal may still be going on right now, but they're right now on Tackle Warehouse. If you were to go over there, he's like, they were like $1.50 a pack when they're usually like $5 or $6 a pack. And so after the show, I was like, oh, these are going to be gone. And I started putting some in my cart. And every time I put one in my cart, the price kept going down. And I put some more in my cart and the price kept going down. I was like, how many of these can I put in there? And how low can I get the price? And after like 45 minutes, I looked at my cart and I had, I think, $40 worth of hooks in there. And they're like, it's $10 shipping. I was like, well, and of course, when you get to $50, it's free shipping. So, okay, here we go.
Oh, I might as well.
Yeah, I'm not just going to give money with shipping. I might as well get some more hooks or whatever it is. I ended up for like $50 and change with 800 hooks. And I justified it in my own mind.
Damn.
I'm taking a risk, one, because I don't know if they're any good. And two, my daughters are 6 and 8. And they are about to get into fishing and they're going to start burning through some terminal tackle. So I said, if anything, if they're not like super awesome, I can let them hook these up and, lose them left and right or whatnot. So I get these things and man, I actually really love them. I traded out all of my, I caught probably 150 bass on this one lure alone. It was just a little square bill crankbait. I put trappers on there, and that's what I buried into my thumb and had to rip out of my thumb. It was just so sticky sharp, and it penetrated so well. It, passed the barb. So I ripped those out with pliers just about 3 weeks ago. That was a good time. But yeah, anyways, have you ever heard of the trapper hooks, and have you ever used them?
I have not. I've used the spear point, which is a similar bin. So yeah, it's supposed to be at the bottom of that belly. They've got like a little well, or I think the trappers are like a square. I think the spear points are a different shape. I forget, but yeah, a little well. So essentially, once you hook into that fish, the lip is supposed to fall into that well and have a pivot spot in there instead of riding on the back of that hook, the round part. It's kind of supposed to lock it in there. I've tried them. I mean, I tried the spear points.
Yeah,
and I was kind of on the fence. Like I didn't really notice a difference. I mean, they were fine hooks, but yeah.
I don't know. I mean, logically, I'm like, okay, maybe. But at the end of the day, like, okay, these are
at that price, and if they're sharp,
and they're sharp, that alone is a big win. So I'm excited about that. Let's finish up the show here with a fun little game of overrated, underrated. Ready for this?
Okay.
This should be. Let's start with. Let's go with some lures. Underrated, overrated, and I want everybody who's listening in live to just blow up the comments. Let me know what you think. Underrated, overrated, Rebel lures.
Kind
of like underrated. OG almost.
I was going to say underrated now was going to be my answer.
Okay. Keep talking.
Back in the day, everybody had a Rebel Pop R or a Rebel. What were there? There was the War Humpback or War, whatever the other Rebel. There was a big creek lure. Old brand. Not popular now. Underrated.
Yeah, why? How did it become unpopular?
They're not flashy. Their marketing kind of sucks. They're still kind of in the old ways. It's like you still get a package now, like the P71s, which I've got some back there that I just bought, is a repop of the old Rebel P70, which I never had. I always just fished the regular Pop R. They came out with a P70 later that was bigger. It was supposed to get, bigger bites, different profile. But they took like a 3D scan of the old P70 and re-released the P71s. And I love it. But yeah, you look at the packaging and it's like just white, white, blue, red. Like it's boring. It's not.
It looks like they haven't changed their logo in 20 years.
I don't think they've ever done anything, which I think kind of makes it cool because it's like I still think of, and do I still have it? I'm sure I do here somewhere. But yeah, the old Pop R, dude. I have one that's been through the mill and back.
Awesome. Let's read some of the comments here. All right, who we got here? We got, Debo. You're underrated. So there you go.
Oh, Steven. That's Steven. That's my boy. That's the guy I was telling you about that told me to watch your video on the Kayak Steel Guard. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
It's like, he's got a good channel. You ever watch him? I'm like, yeah, I might know that.
That hack job? No, I never watched that guy. Darwin, underrated. Underrated for sure. Grew up using those. They're timeless. Underrated. Pop R, underrated. Sly Fox, underrated. Underrated. Smoke, underrated. Scott, underrated. Holy cow. All of these are underrated. I like their micro baits. We don't have one overrated for Rebel Lure.
They used to have an old, what was it? The old grasshopper, I think.
Oh, yeah. The green.
What that thing was.
They still sell those in like the 3-packs at Walmart. Fascinating. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is going to be non-fishing related. Car sticker families.
Oh, God. Overrated. I'm not a big sticker guy, like on stuff. Dizzle, my buddy Dizzle was here, he'd probably say something different because that dude loves stickers. Not on his truck. I think he's only got like 2, but yeah, dude, the car sticker families. The only cool one that I've seen is it's a like Tyrannosaurus Rex eating like a car family, and it's like it says something like I don't remember, some stupid thing of like my family is better than yours. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, eating the stick people family. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool.
God. Have you ever seen, what are some of the dumbest ones you've ever seen? Because now, it went from just a stick figure family to every brand on the face of the planet trying to like a Mickey Mouse family. And then you had AK-47 family. I've seen AK-47s with like,
really
for kids and stuff. Oh, yeah.
No, I think, just the stick people ones and then that dinosaur one. So,
oh my gosh. Okay, let's look over here to the comments. Cooler lid overrated. Way overrated from Smoke 74. Darwin overrated. Stickers are fine. So it's interesting because I'm getting a lot of like the side conversation going on about, do you put stickers on your car? And some people have like number rule limit. It's interesting over here. Do you have stickers on your vehicle?
I don't know.
Okay. Some sci-fi said, I seen a Hello Kitty family. Drive me fishing. I hate stickers, which is really ironic if you're.
Now that you say that, I think I did see a Star Wars family.
There you go.
Yeah. Now that you say that.
So for me, I don't know. Stickers is something. I don't know. As a content creator, like I actually will peel branding off of things. Which is
I want to do that with
really
my
bizarre.
kayak. Yeah, he had a bunch of stickers. I'm like, I want nothing on this.
Yes.
Lame.
Unless you like, I don't know. I just gotta give away free advertising for you. I don't know. I'm not trying to be like, hey, I'm a really big deal, but in the same breath, this is kind of what I do as a side hustle living type of deal. So I don't know. I have 2 stickers on my car. I'm going to put 3. I have an Impulse rods because I work with them. I don't have a contract. And then I have, what's the other one I have? Oh, Kayak Bass Fishing. And I'm getting ready to put a Tackle Talk on there because I really respect what Andrew does. And I think he does a really great job of that. All right. Move on to number 3. Underrated, overrated Guggen baits.
This horse has it not been beaten enough yet?
I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what everyone else has to say.
Every single time I say the same thing is I am completely indifferent.
Okay.
I think they're marketing wise highly overrated. Some of the baits I wouldn't say over or underrated. Like there's a couple that are okay. Like I think the Trench Hog is cool. The Rattlin' Ned, actually, the first people that I ever saw do that in a Ned rig. And it's a great little Ned rig.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, the rest of their stuff I could care less. The thing that I like about it is when they were trying to work with companies and stuff way back in the day,
Yeah.
people kind of laughed at them because they're these like, YouTube internet nerds. And they did something that was completely unheard of in an industry, like I said, that is extremely tough to get into. If you look at new brands coming in and breaking into the fishing industry, it's really hard, right? Because there's such a conglomerate of the big companies. You look at Berkeley and their whole pure fishing bubble. So many of these big, kind of corporate companies that run it, which is good and bad for the sport, but they completely blew up, even though I think a lot of their marketing's, obviously aimed at kids and stuff.
Yeah.
I respect what they did and what they built, but
yeah, I can respect the business side of it. All right. So I wanted to hear what you had to say. Now I want to hear what everyone else kind of over here. All right. Well, oh, thanks, Freddie. Freddie's like, hey, I got 3 impulse rods from watching your videos, Wendell. Hopefully those are treating you well. I know the company's awesome and they will take care of you if something were to happen with those rods. Chris Russ says, Googie. Debo loves him some Googie.
We always joke because like on my lives, there's probably, I would say at least one, if not more, person that will ask, what do you think of Guggen baits every week? And it's like, dude, this horse has been beaten not only to death, but
we're gonna beat it some more here because I'm curious what Smoke 74 overrated. So people get strong feelings. That's why I love. I've never asked you. I've actually never heard you talk about Guggen baits before. Wendell Fishing.
Yeah, overall, I would agree. I think they're probably overrated.
Yeah. Who buys them? You want to hear a fun fact? I have never fished a Guggen bait in my entire life.
Man, you've stayed away from it all, huh?
It's not even on purpose.
Oh.
It's not like, oh, Guggen, I'm so turned off by you, I would never try it. If someone gave me a pack, I would try them. I just have never fished them. I pour a lot of my own now, and so I even use less and less. All right, let's move on. We got a couple more here, and I'll let you go. Overrated, underrated Airbnb.
Never used one, so I can't tell you. Never ever used one. I will be staying in my first one, and I had nothing to do with it. But the Burley guys rented one for this weekend, but I've never stayed in one.
Yeah, because they live in Michigan. They're driving.
Yep, I'm driving over there, so it's like 5.5, 6 hour drive over there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So I was interesting enough on Airbnb. One, I got an Airbnb for my team who wins a spot on my knucklehead team, and it's freaking awesome. There's like a 3 cards giant garage for all the kayaks to fit in.
Damn.
Little side note. Yeah, it's sick, and it's right by Lake Guntersville. And so if you want a spot on my team, I think once you break down the cost, it's only like $60 or $75 a night when you get Airbnb. Wow. So I think they're like cost effective, right? When you have groups, because that would have cost $150 minimum at a hotel. Plus, you got to let your kayak and stuff sit outside in the parking lot.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And so it's like, oh crap. So if you don't want all that stuff stolen, you got to like literally strip down your entire kayak and either lock it in your truck or wheel it into your hotel room, which is what Bowfin Junkie and I did last year. Pain in the butt. So I'm not doing that again. But it was interesting because I was watching this video. This guy, he was in Airbnb, and he heard something in the wall. And so he got his phone out, and a person opened up a hidden door and walked out. And it was the owner who rented him the Airbnb. He's like, excuse me, who are you? And she's like, I needed to go to the bathroom. And there's this really super awkward exchange where she's trying to defend herself. Like, I'm just in the wall. I'm just sleeping in the wall. And this guy's like, I rented this Airbnb. And it's so bizarre. I think it happened like in UK. Nonetheless, that freaks me out a whole lot. But nonetheless, check the walls, folks, of your Airbnb.
They're in the walls.
What's the crazy thing about Airbnb, right? You like, these are other people's homes. And so there could be cameras. There could be more likelihood of that type of invasion of privacy than you would get at a hotel, right? So that's kind of a little freaky there. All right, we got any more over here? Underrated, overrated. Oh, we got 17 comments over here. Overrated. No, wait a second. No one's commenting. Wait a second. No, we don't. I'm at the wrong one. Here we go. Oh, my goodness. I'll sleep in my Subaru. Saves money. Whole town's full of Airbnbs now, thanks to tourism. Never stayed in one. Interesting. All right. Last question for you, Debo. Underrated, overrated. And this is kind of like an awkward question, maybe. Influencer culture.
What do you mean?
Yeah. It's like the whole culture of just kind of what we do, even though I would never refer to us or myself as an influencer. I'm a content creator.
Either.
But as a content creator, people lump us into, I don't even like saying the word. I hate it. But then you got this next level influencer culture, which like really people really lean into it. Like, hey, I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
Every kid who's 10 or 14 wants to be a YouTube star or wants to have whatever. So there's levels of it. And so you can unpack it. But what's your feeling when I say influencer culture? Because my goodness, companies are pumping a ton of cash into it right now.
Yeah, I guess I don't really know. Like, so the stuff you see on TikTok, like these people getting pissed at people at the gym when they're trying to do something, or these people like out in public just acting like absolute pricks.
Right.
Like, yeah, that stuff is like, people need to get checked. You know, back in the old days, somebody would slap you in your mouth, and a lot of people need that these days. You know, but as long as you're courteous, you know, if you're going through like a fishing show and you're doing a content thing and you're filming yourself, you know, I don't see any problem with that. Or if you're, you know, whatever parallel type of thing you're in, as long as you're you know, respectful, I don't see an issue with it. You know, I think the weird thing is if we're just, let's say we move and talk just fishing YouTubers, right? I think there's definitely been a very helpful side of it. Like you can find, you know, back in my day, you know, I had my old man, my grandpa, you know, his buddies that would fish with us. That's who I had to learn from. Now, if you don't have anybody, you've got a wealth of knowledge. You know, once you find somebody you like or a couple people you like, it's a great outlet. But you know, then you see the people doing the 1800th. If I see one more person doing a Barbie rod, mini rod challenge on something, I would like to beat them with my paddle, because like that type of stuff does put a bad name for like influencers. And like, there's some stupid people out there, even the Googans, like, you know, I think that's why they got a bad rep, because so many of their like stupid videos and challenges and, you know, that type of stuff. But you know, you watched him early on. I remember seeing Flair like when he was young, and I'm like, God, this guy's a joke, you know, just some little kid. But he was, you know, he was trying to do videos and teach people and show, you know, a lot of them were doing that at the beginning, you know, then it kind of all landslided into some other, you know, kind of over the top, you know, everything has to be over the top, craziest. To me, that stuff is what I don't like. It sells, it gets the views. It's always going to be way more popular, but I'm kind of an old man, I guess, when it comes to some of that stuff. So
yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you there. Let's hear a couple. We'll finish out with some comments here from those listening in live. Bart Foster says, overrated, but somewhat of a necessary part of the current entertainment industry. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Chris Roos, Debo's influenced a good portion of my fish-related purchases. When my wife gets on me about buying stuff, I blame him. Hey, you're a scapegoat.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's fine.
Scott says, I enjoy watching and seeing new ideas. Got me hooked on kayak fishing. I love it. Bass Ackwards 13, overrated 100%. As much as I love all the content, so much of the marketing angle is garbage. Yeah, there's a good way to do it, and there's a very poor way to do it. And it's very clear about how you feel in that moment when you're listening to it, whether that's garbage or not. So, fascinating. And Grimy, final comment of the night. If I didn't have YouTube, I might have to pay for cable TV service again, and I can't go back to that.
It's free.
Right.
Not only can you watch all these things and learn, it's free. Like I'm still honestly surprised that they haven't found a way to monetize, you know, internet and these things on YouTube and stuff. I hope they don't, but
right. Well, what should we expect from you? I know you said you've been really busy recently, but we're coming up on fishing. We're right smack middle of fishing season. So what should we expect from Debo and the channel?
Same stuff, man. I mean, I'm not going to come out on some limb and promise stuff that's not there. It's going to be the same stuff, same me. It's me doing my journey. And I think you're kind of the same way. You know, you're going to do you. You're going to share your journey. You're not in it for views. You're not in it for the craziest, you know, thing. There's a few people like that I watch, and the influencers, you know, that I respect. And, you know, just the down-to-earth people sharing their story and what they do and what works for them. If it works for you, great. Hopefully it helps. If it doesn't, that's fine. Go watch somebody else. You know, do your own thing. But yeah, that's me. Fishing, gear reviews. I do want to get back to a lot of the beginner stuff. That was, you know, really what made my channel catapult in the first couple years. So I need
Yeah.
to get back into that.
Yeah, I think we forget. I know I forget in the midst of the journey, right? I'm no longer a beginner in the journey, my journey. And so I forget, like, hey, that's where most people were sitting. That's why most people, and you pick people up along the way and we'll get like, hey, that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm going to follow this guy and he's kind of where I live. But you're right. Going back to some of the basic stuff is also good. Help a lot of people out. Well, Debo, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on the show for the second time. And I'm sure because everyone loves you so much and I love having you on as a guest. Give us another 30 episodes or so, and I'll have you on again.
Awesome. I am down, and you'll be getting on my channel soon. I've got a couple weekends I'll be gone, but we'll get one picked out and you'll be on my channel, and I'm going to pick your brain since I'm the kayak noob and you're the old kayak sensei. I'm going to pick your brain on more kayak stuff. So I appreciate it because people ask me kayak questions now. I had a kayak for like a month and they expect me to know all this stuff. I'm like,
you're pro. Yeah.
I don't even know what the hell I'm doing yet. So listen, don't ask me.
I'm going to walk you through my kayak. We got this thingamabob over here. It's connected to this metal thingy connected to the,
I'm already carrying too much gear in it. I just got one and I'm overpacking it by 1,000 tons apparently. So
there is something you need to worry about with overpacking it. And no one really knows like the weight. But if you put too much weight on your kayak on those native sidekicks, it'll rip out the aluminum rail.
I wonder, because I was looking at that wondering how much will this hold, because that does seem sketchy because those rails just bolt into the the aluminum rail deal there. I don't know. Well, if you see me sink and all those rip off, then I guess I'll have to make a video of cops called you all were right.
I've seen one rip off before only because my buddy got it stuck on the lip of a boat ramp that eroded away at the end and he was trying to pull it up on over. And it was getting stuck. And so it created an incredible amount of pressure. And it didn't rip out of the boat. The aluminum bent out. Which is better, right? All you got to do is change the rail. If you were going to rip out the bolts, which probably don't happen much anymore because a lot of these kayak companies are creating them back there behind the seat a lot more beefier to withstand the weight, right? But maybe some of the older versions, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a pro on this, but I would imagine maybe some of the older ones, as the native sidekicks were coming out, may have not been built with that in mind. Mm-hmm. And I know some people have had issues with it. So I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. My man, thank you so much. If you haven't hit that like button, folks, do that. If you haven't gone over to Debo's Fishing and you haven't hit that subscribe button, help this man out. 150,000? Did you just hit 150,000?
I don't know. I don't even watch anymore. It's just a number. I don't even care, to be honest.
It's a good number because that's 150,000 people are like, hey, I want more of Debo in my life. Click.
I appreciate it.
If you want more of Debo in your life, click that bad boy. But thank you guys. I'm going to have Real Northern Fishing. I believe that's what they're called on in 2 weeks. Like I said, I'm throttling back the show from every week to every other week. Kind of make it a little bit more manageable. Got a new job, getting a lot more fishing in, and got to dial back. I'll probably ramp it back up in the off season, but for now, hope you guys have a great next couple of weeks until I talk to you again. Hope you can catch some bigs. Debo, have a great rest of the week yourself, and see you in 2 weeks, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast.